Hey, Kathy.
Hi.
So we are in Sherwood Park right now. We are in Kathy's backyard. Nice to be together, not talking through Zoom.
Know.
Right?
In person? Yeah.
Right, in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just in Grand Prairie. We just got back.
Just got back.
It's like Friday afternoon, and we're getting ready for a meeting that we're holding in Edmonton tonight. And a friend of mine has agreed to hold a meeting for us.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, our first one in Edmonton.
That's right.
So we've got that going on. We're going to get things rolling in the Edmonton area. So very excited about that. But our
We learned a few things.
We learned a few things. Yes, our meeting in Grand Prairie was fantastic. There was like 40 some people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great discussion.
Super engaged.
Yeah.
Super engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. We kind of did a mock-up meeting. Like we had some volunteers come up and be part of our living room.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like how we have our meetings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did that, and during the discussion, we kind of realized that this week with the election,
Yep.
there's a lot of excitement,
A lot of angst.
a lot of angst as well, where people are like, I support Alberta Separation, but I don't know what I should do next, or I don't know what the next thing is, or what it should look like, or anything like that. And so we thought we're just going to drop a real quick video here, just to kind of
Calm the waters.
calm the waters,
calm the
quell that
waters.
anxiety, because there's really no reason to be anxious about this. And there are, as Kathy, you just said, there's an order of operations.
There is an order of operations to this, and I think people are getting, some are getting ahead of themselves by just a little bit, and others are confused about what exactly is happening and the order that things are supposed to happen in. And one of the things, well, you and I think we've found this for the last 4 to 5 years anyways, is that the people that get involved in these things, most of us are doers. We're entrepreneurs. We are maybe higher level management. We're used to getting up in the morning and we know what our day is going to be by the time our feet hit the ground and our to-do list is complete by noon.
Right.
And we're used to doing that. Government doesn't work that way.
Nope.
At all. In fact, most times it's in reverse. And
Sure feels like it sometimes.
Does, right? And so this isn't going to be a whole lot different because it's a political problem that requires a political solution. The solution is now there. Our premier has thrown us the biggest gift we could have ever asked for.
Day after the election.
The day after the election. And by lowering what is going to be necessary to initiate a citizens-led referendum.
Yes.
I get them all tied up.
A citizens-initiated referendum.
Thank
Yes.
you. That. And that's a great thing. Now, there's some people that are really nervous, afraid that that's going to pull the trigger too quick. Those of us that have been at this for a while, and we recognize and know that that referendum has to pass. We get kind of one shot at this to be successful. But there's also a little bit of confusion about signing up for the intent to sign that initiative.
Right. So you know what? Let's just take one step back before we do that one, because talking about what Danielle Smith did.
Yes.
Okay. So we had a law on the books already saying that if a citizen wanted to initiate a referendum in the province, they had to meet a certain threshold of so many signatures within a certain time frame.
That's correct.
And we saw that in Calgary I think it was the last winter, right?
Yeah.
Where they tried to do that to remove Mayor Gondek. They weren't happy with what she's been doing. And the threshold was impossible. The law that was put in, this was May of 2022, Jason Kenney's government put this new law on the books, and it was based on a law that has been in BC for the last 25 years. And they've had like one, maybe two successful referendums in those 25 years because those thresholds were so high. And there's a reason why. But we're really lucky right now because we have a premier who wants to know the will of the people and to hear the will of the people and act on it. At least as far as what we're seeing, that's what we think is going on. And so, instead of requiring 600,000 signatures within a 60-day period, impossible. She lowered it to, and I love this formula, 10% of those who
voted.
Who participated already in the last election, which lowers that number to about 177,000, 180,000, right in there. Yeah. And She gave us another 30 days to do it. So 120 days instead of 90, which makes way more sense and is much more doable. And it still gives a really good indication of what the will of Albertans would be. And it's not just a referendum on separation. It could be a referendum on any number of ideas. You know, if enough folks said, hey, we don't want to participate in the CPP. We don't want our money managed, you know, so many thousands of kilometers away. We want to bring it back home where it's going to be a little more accountable. We want an Alberta pension plan, and we want to be able to participate in that. They could start a referendum on that.
Easily.
And the same thing, the threshold and the numbers would be the same, is my understanding.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's what Danielle Smith did, which even caused more excitement across the province, because we're realizing, oh my goodness, this is actually reachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you then go into the process of what the Alberta Prosperity Project is doing?
Right.
Where you were starting before I interrupted you.
No, I'm glad you interrupted me. Please interrupt me, because I forget details and you don't.
Well, I need them all.
Well, so and this is where we found out last night in our conversations with people that there's a little bit of confusion out there as to what the process is and what's happening. So APP has been trying to gather names and contact information of people for a lot of months right now. Most of anybody who's kind of caught up in this world knows that. You've been to their meetings, you've seen their posts on social media, you've seen their website, all of that. And so they too have been trying to gauge what's the appetite for this. And so they were collecting intents. Do you intend to vote positively on this referendum? Now it has, since Monday, much like 2019, except I think this is much more solid and serious.
Absolutely.
It has exploded, completely exploded. And now they have got so many people who have signed on saying, yes, I intend to vote yes on this referendum. Yes, I want out. Now, what you're signing up for on APP's website is not the citizen-led referendum initiative at all. It's not that. What you're signing up for is saying, yes, I want that. So then when it comes time for you to actually sign it, the legitimate legal document, because it has to be a legal document that comes from Elections Alberta. It has to be sanctioned by them. When it comes time to sign that, they know how to find you so that you can. It's got to be ink on paper. There's a legal process to this because it's a legal document. And so there was a lot of people last night who thought that they had already signed it by signing up to say that they would sign it. And that seems to be where the confusion goes. So we just sort of wanted to make sure that people understood that that's the step one that APP is doing. So if you are for Alberta independence and you want to sign that petition to take to the Alberta government to get them, push them to make this referendum happen, we encourage you, go on to the APP website and let them know so that when the time comes, because first of all, this legislation that the Premier has said that she's tabled, it has to go through the legislature. That's a process. It's got to go through.
It's going to take some time.
It is. It's got to go through first, second, third reading and then achieve royal assent. Could happen rather quickly. It quickly means like months. Maybe not till the fall. We don't know, right? It depends. So that has to happen first. Then this petition has to happen, and that's going to take a month, maybe 2 months to get all of the signatures.
Or maybe even longer. We're given a whole 120 days to do it.
We're given 120 days to do it. We can shorten the time frame of what it takes to get those signatures by letting the folks at APP know you're willing to sign it.
And where to contact you.
And where to find you.
Yeah.
And how to contact you so that they can say, okay, we're going to have, I presume, we don't personally have anything to do with APP.
We don't. But they do seem to be the most organized, and they're definitely like kind of the head of the pack.
Yeah.
We've heard, and there was some confusion last night as well, that there's other groups that are also asking you to sign their intent.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's not binding. It's nothing legal. It's just saying, yeah, I support this. And again, it's just another way to gauge the support for Alberta separation in Alberta. But the crazy thing is that like the APP is so far ahead of the game. Like for anybody else to try and come in behind with a change.org or something, it's not going to be super effective.
No.
So we're gonna actually put in the show notes, like in the video notes, whatever. We're gonna put the link to the APP form that you just fill out. Here's my contact information so that when we do get to this point, you know where to find me, so I can sign that.
That's right.
That petition to the government.
To the government. And then it lands in their lap. They have to do something with it and then come back to us with a ballot.
Yes.
Whenever that's going to happen.
Like, they will announce when the referendum is going to be held, the actual referendum. And this is, when we get to that point, this is the referendum that, you know, we're talking about using the Clarity Act.
Correct.
That will then trigger, if we are successful in that referendum, it will trigger negotiations between the federal government, all provincial governments, and First Nations.
That's right.
So, and that right now is the number one main focus.
That is.
There's so many what ifs out there, and what is this going to look like, and all that stuff. All that stuff is going to sort itself out.
It will.
But like you pointed out, Kathy, we've got a month's long, at the very minimum, process to even get to a referendum, a successful referendum, and triggering. And one thing that people don't mention is that in the Clarity Act, it states that the province, in order for them to do this referendum, they have to first submit their question that will be on the referendum to
the federal government.
The federal government, and they must approve it. Now, is it the Supreme Court? I can't remember. But some federal thing has to approve that question, and they have 30 days to approve it.
So that's another month.
That's another month. So it's a process. So right now, our focus, and the focus of all Albertans who want Alberta separation, really needs to be getting the message out.
That's right.
Educating yourself, educating your family, friends, your neighbors.
That's right.
And this is what AWIN, we have a small part in it, that we're holding meetings around the province. And
we're doing tea parties.
We're going to do Alberta tea parties. It's not a Boston tea party.
No.
Now, what's the story behind the Boston Tea Party? Do you remember that? I love this. My kids, when we were reading history, were like, oh, that's so awesome. We would have been so excited to be part of that. So, of course, you know, like America is being founded and whatever, and they were still part of the British colony or, you know, what Commonwealth, whatever they called it back then.
Yeah.
And they're pretty angry because there was a lot of taxation without representation.
What does that feel like?
Does that sound familiar? I don't know. Taxation without fair representation. Anyways, so there was something to do with the British bringing a bunch of tea over so that, you know, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the guys unloading it said, screw that. And they tossed it all in the ocean as part of protest. And so that's what the term the Boston Tea Party is.
That's right.
And we're going to hold some Alberta tea parties.
We have tea parties.
We've had some meetings. But
that have had tea?
Yes.
See?
But the Alberta Tea Party sounds like more fun.
It does.
So it kind of sounds like a provincial political party, though. Too.
Yeah, but
it's not that. No, this is dessert.
This is dessert.
Right?
Yeah. and the other thing that we have come to learn in having these meetings and chatting with people is there's a little bit of confusion where to go for good information.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting whenever, and we knew this was going to happen, especially if the election turned out the way it did. Like, we were like, all right, who's going to be popping out of the woodwork Tuesday morning? And sure enough, a lot of people, and that's great, fine. We're all pushed on the same mountain from all kinds of different angles. Great, fine. But it can also be really distracting.
Yep.
And confusing.
Yep.
Because it's like, well, should I go join this party? Should I go become a part of this group? Like, there's a lot of like questions like, well, what's the right next thing to do?
Yeah.
And as far as we're concerned, the right next thing to do is to just
get educated
and keep spreading the news. We would love to come do an Alberta Tea Party at your house. You know, you invite your friends or your neighbors, whatever, which is what we've been doing. We have 7 meetings planned for May already, stemming from, well, we just did Grand Prairie.
And it might be 8.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, we have we have more dates that we could fill up.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, there's 2 of us, right? Like now it's divide and conquer.
Yeah, but now we're getting other ladies who are saying, I think I can do this meeting on my own.
That's right.
And so it's spreading out. Yeah, we're going to Medicine Hat, Calgary stuff.
Yeah.
But you talked about information that was solid and reliable. There's 3 people that we want to recommend to you that if you want more information about Alberta separation and the process and the legalities of it, these three people are just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the first one, we'd say Michael Wagner.
Amazing. Get his books.
Get his
Just
books.
do it.
Look him up on Facebook. Look him up on, is he on X? I don't think he's on X.
I think he's on X, but he is on LinkedIn as well.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Look him up. There are lots of videos of different interviews. You could go on YouTube and probably just type in
Just Google
Michael
his
Wagner.
name and it'll come up. Yeah.
Tons of information. And he is just so solid. He knows the history of the Alberta separatism movement and kind of the pitfalls.
He's a lot of the why.
Oh,
Michael,
absolutely.
Right? Michael handles the why. Why do we want to do this? How come? Why do we need to stop spinning our wheels? And he lays it all out
Yeah.
very well.
And very easy. It's an easy read.
Yeah.
It's not dry political blah blah blah.
No.
It's like, oh wow, this is a very interesting history.
Yeah.
So Michael Wagner.
Yeah.
The next one was Corey Morgan.
Yes. He's
Corey
so funny.
Morgan, he is funny. So he is an editor at the Western Standard.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a good alternative media source, the Western Standard is pretty good.
It's a good one.
They're good, yeah. And they've gotten a lot better over the years.
They have.
So like we all do, right?
Yeah.
Like it's anyways, but yeah, they're really good. And he's an editor there. And he's been actually putting out some videos. Now, the other thing interesting about Corey is that he was one of the founders of the Alberta Independence Party back in the early 2000s. And he's been there, done that, been in the trenches. He knows what's going to work and what's not going to work. Yeah. His big thing right now is we don't need another political party. And I 100% agree.
Absolutely.
This is never going to happen through a political party, some new political party that rises to the top, like some rising star.
Yeah.
It's going to save us all. Not going to happen. It's going to happen when Albertans
Are ready for it.
are ready for it and are ready to stand up together.
Yeah.
And so Corey Morgan, and he's got a great book too, The Sovereigntist Handbook.
Yeah.
Fantastic read.
Yeah. So then the last person that you really want to find on Twitter is Keith Wilson. He has been on just about every podcast imaginable. And outstanding. Just outstanding. He brings the legal side of it.
He's a
Constitutional lawyer, and he brings the legal side of it. So we've got a why, we've got a how, and we've got a here's the legal process kind of a thing. Like the guy I guess maybe he answers a lot of those questions of, well, what about this and what about that?
Right.
And can this happen and can that happen? And he does it in such a way that really takes the sting and the fear right out of the process.
Oh, it totally does.
Right?
Listening to him is so encouraging because,
Yeah.
these are legitimate questions, like, does the First Nations or do other provincial governments have a veto, and he's able to like really address that. Like, what is the role of other provincial governments when it comes to Alberta seceding? What is the role of the First Nations and how is that going to look? What are the possibilities?
Yeah.
And what their roles are not.
Yes.
Which is really important because there's a lot of people saying this and that, and it's like, that's not really according to the law.
No.
So it's nice to have Keith Wilson who just explains it from
In English.
the legal standpoint.
Yeah.
In English.
In English.
Very,
Very
very
simple.
very easily. So those were three people that we thought of that we would definitely recommend if you are
find them.
hungry for more information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I'm also going to, in the show notes, I will drop our email address. And the reason for that is that we send out a newsletter every week.
Yep.
And in it, we have links to like the most recent podcast with Keith Wilson, or like here's an article that came out that was written by so and so, right? That type of thing, addressing various aspects. So in those emails, you have an opportunity to learn more on your own time, of course,
right.
and very easy to share with other people that you think might be interested. So definitely email us and we will get you on our email list. And again, just check down below and you will see where they are.
Where do you do that?
And of course, you have to do the YouTube thing, right? Hit like, hit subscribe.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing that was really cool last night. So when we were getting ready to come back home this morning, somebody had texted me that I haven't heard from in a really long time. And he said, you know what, I want to thank you so much for coming last night. I didn't expect this. And he said, I brought my wife and my daughters. And my wife is the absolute skeptic. But she got it last night. Because I presume, because the information was presented in just a very factual way. There was no raw pitchforks, you know.
Nothing
Gotta
like
scrap
that.
and we're gonna.
It's
get
just
them,
laying
and
it out.
This
Like,
is just here's the facts.
here's a problem. Here's a solution.
That's it. That's
Yep.
all it is. And as of this week, of all of the meetings that we've done, I now have 2 favorite quotes. And one was one gal, she was sitting beside me, young girl. Oh man, was she even 30?
No.
No, there's no way, right? She wasn't even, I don't even know if she was 25. She was so amazing. So she's sitting beside me and I hand her our little handout that shows the country and then how many Senate seats we all have and how many MPs we all have as provinces. And she says, the math don't math.
Math ain't nothing. Nope, it's not.
No, it's not. Correct. No, it's not. So we went into that and the reasons why. And then my second favorite, well, maybe it's my first favorite, is the other day you
I was at a meeting and someone took a look at the sheet and their first, this is so funny, you know, because we just, we don't do any explanation like beforehand. We just hand them the sheet and they're sitting there looking at it. And then we just sit there for a minute and look and see their responses and hear their responses. And this one was what fresh new hell is this? I'm like, it ain't new. It's been like this from the beginning. We weren't aware. We weren't aware.
We just didn't know.
Yeah, we knew something was hellish, but
What
was
that?
it?
Here we are.
Anyways, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, so the focus is, let's just keep it lighthearted. Let's keep it fun. Let's keep it educational. And help our friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, coworkers just learn.
Yep.
That's it. And that's how we're going to win this thing.
That's how we're going to win it. And that the facts and feeling confident in your knowledge of it, that is what's going to cause people to come together.
Yeah.
And to be able to feel like they can stand really firm on their desire for separation, their desire for a new future, their desire for fairness, all that stuff. And then that's what's going to bring us together is like, yeah, we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. So if you want us to come and visit you,
We love it.
bring us in.
Yeah.
You bring
Otherwise-
the tea, we'll show up.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
Awesome.
Looking forward to the next road trip.
Yeah. Well, tonight, Edmonton.
Tonight, Edmonton. We're in Edmonton now.
Yeah.
And
We'll figure out another road trip.
we'll see where we're going next.
Thanks so much.
Take care, guys.
Bye.